Hi, Norman Goldman here. A lot of people ask me when we started this show, why do this show? The answer is to be different. You and I, we've been together a long time now. We have always worked with the facts and lived with the truth. And, you know, I speak bluntly. I want to speak bluntly with you. You can get a bunch of bullshoy and all kinds of flowery talk everywhere else. I'm just here to tell it to you the way it is. What's wrong with the good old-time values of hard work and honesty and just treating people properly? I don't know if you have read my book, but I have written a book. I wrote it all by myself. You can find it at normangoldman.com. I say what it is that I was getting to throughout the whole course of the book, which is the longest journey that you and I ever take is the journey in our minds. It is the growth of you, the growth of me as a human being. Now do you understand why I said this show is different?
It's only radio. It's so simple.
Hey, Norm. I am really glad to talk to you. There's a great breaking story out of Seattle where Washington State, actually, where corporations like Monsanto, DuPont, Dow, etc., are spending millions of dollars trying to defeat citizens' initiative to require the labeling of genetically modified food.
Well, but Mark,
corporations are people, my friend.
But Mark, corporations are people, my friend. What's the problem?
Corporations are people, my friend.
You know, this week was the second anniversary of the Occupy Wall Street movement that started in New York City trying to fight this kind of corporate greed and corruption, but it seems like Washington State is being subjected to the same thing that California was subjected to back, you know, a little while ago when they actually lost their battle to require genetically modified food labeling. But the latest breaking part of the story here, Norm, is that there's a group called Mothers for Labeling, and they have actually taken the No on 522 group to court in Thurston County, Washington, where the state capital is at, claiming that the anti-GMO labeling initiative people have violated public disclosure law by not letting people know who their true funders are. And they're alleging that the GMA, the Grocery Manufacturers Association, is involved once again in this battle, the same group that was pushing all the money up for negative ad campaigns in California. And that group membership list has included Pepsi-cola, Coca-cola, Del Monte, Georgia Pacific, Nestle, you know.
Well, Mark, but here's the thing. With the Supreme Court decision and all of this web of, you know, private, silly named, you know, Americans for America groups funneling money all between themselves, we need to turn that into a political issue, and I'm really glad to hear that there's litigation over it. But we need to make that an issue and say, look at all this secret corporate money. We have people power. Market, go to a farmer's market. Go to a farmer's market anywhere, a nice big farmer's market. That's a free market because you'll have lots of farmers selling onions and selling rutabagas or whatever it is. But they're selling whatever it is they're selling, and you can go from stall to stall and get a free market. But in all kinds of industries, big industries, there is no free market. There's just a few giant companies dominating and warping everything. I got other folks stacked up, ready to go, and I gotta go. But I got senior legal analyst time for you in 20 minutes. You're gonna love this one. It involves Obamacare and the Supreme Court. You thought the Supreme Court was done with Obamacare? Guess again. There's another big issue about to go to the Supreme Court on a big issue in Obamacare. I'll have that for you in 20 minutes. Norm at normangoldman.com for your emails. normangoldman.com is our website. This is where justice is always served. The Norman Goldman Show.
Give your brain a break. This is the Norman Goldman Show.
Senior legal analyst time straight ahead, where justice is served. Hey, Norman Goldman here. You know, when I was in college, I started college, and I was in a political science class, and the political science professor gave a quiz kind of early in the semester. And I did the quiz. Everybody did the quiz. It was like 90 students in the lecture hall. And he returned the quiz and said, 90% of you have failed, as in an F. And everybody kind of looked stunned, and he said, 90% of you can't write. I'm talking about subject, predicate, and verb in an intelligible sentence. Now, I'm glad for my sake that I was not one of that 90%. In fact, the teacher said, hey, Norm, you've got some potential. We're going to make you a teaching assistant. So I got some extra credit for doing that. But the moral of the story is that the New York City public schools had done a terrible job The New York City schools had done a terrible job of doing basic education of students and just did social promotion, passed them along. They got to a New York City public college and they couldn't read or write. What I have found doing this radio show is that story actually fits most of America. A lot of students graduate high school today having never taken a civics class. A lot of people go to college today not being able to name the three branches of government. A lot of people go to college today not even knowing the difference between the House of Representatives and the United States Senate. What we do on this show is teach basic civics. We also teach a lot of law. We do it on our over-the-air show, and we do it a lot in our Beyond the Norm segments. The Beyond the Norm segments are law, civics, all kinds of consumer protection, things you should know, but I doubt you've learned elsewhere. I stay on top of things so that we can bring you information to protect you as a consumer, especially in this ever more complex world. I'm going to school you right now, okay? Congress taxes. Congress spends. Period. End of discussion. That's it. You really need to understand how your government works. Now, if you're upset about President Obama and Syria, that's a very legitimate concern. But you call me up and say, I don't hear this on the liberal media. It's obvious that you're just enraged without any facts. And I'm not going to sit here and listen to that nonsense. Now, you got to get a grip on yourself. You're an adult. You're going to get a grip on yourself. And you're going to read. Yes, read. You're going to stop watching Fox. You're going to read the Constitution, starting with Article 1. See, I can get angry and enraged, too. I'm also an entertainer, and look, I've got to, it wouldn't be much radio if I just spoke in a monotone and was just kind of dull, and, look, so I get excited, I'm passionate, right, and I play the silly clips, and we have a lot of fun and all, but a lot of the show is very serious. But understand this. At least I'm an educated man. I mean, I went to college, and I got really good grades, and I studied hard, and I read stuff, and I'm an inquisitive fellow. I want to always learn new things. I mean, I've never stopped learning. I went to law school. I did really well in law school. I learned, I read, I debated, I argued. I think about stuff with my, in my own mind. If I don't have anybody to debate with, I'll debate myself. I mean, I'm out there, fighting with people and arguing. I love talking politics and learning and adjusting my positions when people prove me wrong and stuff. I'm happy to do that. And I have passion too. But you can't just call me up and start getting loud. I'm not one of these, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend. Can't we get along? No. I will call you out. And I don't suffer fools, and I don't pander to ignoramuses, and I don't sit here and listen to imbeciles and not call them imbecile. If you got something to say that has some knowledge behind it, that has some reason behind it, that has some book learning behind it, then I'm here for you. But if you're going to call me up with the little slogans and the bumper stickers that have been programmed into your brain, the Constitution of the United States is not very long. You can read it slowly in about 10 minutes. And don't sit there and just chant slogans that have been fed to you by I don't even know why these people think that Limbaugh, Hannity, and Beck, and O'Reilly, and Fox Boobs, and all these guys, I don't understand why they trust them. That's the voice of fascism. And that's not America. I speak for freedom and liberty. I am not a liberal. I am not a progressive. I am not a conservative. And I most certainly will not accept a bunch of loudmouth, ignorant fools. They are fascists. They're ignorant bozos who don't have the good sense the good Lord gave them. I do know what I'm talking about. And that's why it's senior legal analyst time. Because this Obamacare thing went to the United States Supreme Court, and you'll recall the United States Supreme Court in very large part said that Obamacare, by 5-4, they said Obamacare is constitutional. The fifth vote, there were the 4 Democrats saying Obamacare constitutional. The fifth vote, the Chief Justice of the United States, and the Republicans went crazy. It's a betrayal. It's a betrayal. We installed you as an apparatchik. We installed you as a functionary, John Roberts. You are there to do the corporate agenda. Well, John Roberts did the corporate agenda. He supported Obamacare, which is what the insurance companies and the pharmaceutical industry wanted. But, of course, the Republicans are too dumb to even recognize that. Obamacare, however, is still in the courts.